So, Carolyn, I know that you've really looked into this and it's a fascinating subject. How does Nassim Nicholas Taleb define, or what are the definitions he starts with?
Nassim Nicholas Taleb wrote several books. The Black Swan is one that's really famous. He also wrote a book called Anti-Fragile. And it's one that we've had a conversation about several times. And what I love about his book is he really looks into what the definitions are of things like fragile versus anti-fragile. But he also goes into what's robust and what's resilient and trying to sort of unpick it. And he does it primarily from an investment perspective, but also from a perspective that you and I would talk about, which is in nature and
Mm-hmm.
what nature has to say about it. And he talks about it in terms of our society as well. So there's lots of things that we could pick apart on here, but the most important thing is to look at those definitions.
So, what's the first definition? I think we were starting to talk about some form of teacup or something.
Yeah. Yeah. So he talks about fragile being a teacup, which is something that's whole and fixed. But if it falls off a table, it smashes into pieces and you can't really put it back
Mm.
together, right? It's something that doesn't take a lot of pressure and then it collapses.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's partly the quality of the fact that it's so fixed in a
Hmm.
particular shape and a particular molecular level, right?
Right.
And then he goes
Immovable.
on to
Yeah.
the word robust, which is a different kind of thing, which is to say that it's like a teacup, but made out of metal, right? It's gonna withstand a lot of pressure. It's still gonna collapse if you put it under extreme heat or something like that, but something pretty strong that you can throw around and it's gonna be fine. But it doesn't. It's different from resilient because
Okay.
resilient is something that collapses and then bounces back, right?
Okay.
So you've got
Right. So your robust teacup will get a few dints if it's made of metal and you might be able to dint them back out, but it's not going to take the same shape and it's going to survive, sort of thing, but only, but with the dint still in it.
yeah,
Okay. And
exactly.
resilient bounces
Resilient.
back.
Well,
Yeah.
you give us this great definition of resilience, right?
Well, which is where I think this came from in the first place was polymers that had been subjected to heat and then their capacity to bounce back or take the same shape as they had before they'd been subjected to heat was this resilience measurement. And then they applied this measurement to human beings, the metaphor of being able to bounce back and take the same shape once it had
Yeah,
been faced with I said absurdity. I mean adversity, but I feel like it's absurd actually to use that
so true.
for the natural world and for humans.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else I've missed with that?
There's many different
Mm,
metaphors for this, but the capacity to bounce back and to regrow or reshape whatever is
mm.
is key. And then the last one, his anti-fragile definition is new. And like you said, he I don't think he really likes the word anti-fragile
Mm, mm,
either. He
mm.
really wanted to find another word for it, but couldn't find another word for it. So anti-fragile um, is being able to actually grow and thrive under adversity. So it's a completely
Uh-huh.
different metaphor. And the one that he likes to use for that is muscles. So human muscles,
Hmm.
which when you put them under strain, they have tiny little tears in them, but the tears grow back and make you stronger, right? So you're actually building new capacity, new capabilities
Hmm.
by subjecting yourself
Hmm.
to little stresses and learning
Hmm.
journeys, right? So um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's a capacity for not just bouncing back, but actually thriving.
Hmm. Yeah, there is a regenerative aspect to it, the way he defines it.
Yeah.
Totally get. I've just been to the gym, and that is the. I mean, whoa, it's hard, and my muscles are not liking it. But yeah, they're going to get stronger because of it. So it's defined entirely by the adversity that we're subjecting it to, which I think is where we lead into what's beyond that. But yeah, I really get it. So it's anti-fragile, but it's more than robust. It's stronger. Feels like it's regenerative. Actually, that could be a word that he could use, that we could.
Yeah. And I think
Nassim, if you're listening.
I think the interesting thing that again ties back to what you talk about a lot is the 4% rule.
Mm-hmm.
So this is generally something that thrives under a certain level of stress, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're subjecting your muscles to a certain level of stress. If you were to if you were to go into a gym and try and bench press 500 kilos, you would kill yourself, right?
I would kill myself. Some people would not kill them. I would.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this ties into that no pain, no gain thing that we
What
sometimes talk
doesn't kill
about
you
too.
makes you
Like,
stronger. Yeah. Totally. Actually, this is the first time in our conversation that I really have seen the regenerative quality of the anti-fragile definition. And I really like it. I think what distinguishes where we're going also is that the whole conversation is always based around our relationship to adversity. What if it wasn't only that? What if our capacity to create forward, this creativity that we have within us, that's another ultimate quality of beyond resilience, beyond anti-fragile. And who knows, there might be something after that. In terms of adult development, we talk about shifting levels, from the reactive self to the creative self to the integral self. And each level integrates and absorbs the levels before it. And I think that's part of the conversation that we're in too, that the beyond resilience conversation isn't a whole other thing and separate from everything else. It's a continuation and an amplification, and it integrates it.
That's the whole reason why it's nice to talk about these definitions, because actually fragile and robust and resilient and all those things come together, and anti-fragile. And then you build upon that, right, with beyond resilience. The other thing that actually strikes me as we're talking about this is, again, the metaphor that you often use is the river, and the idea that as long as you know your purpose, you know where you're going, you get around obstacles. Well, the whole premise of anti-fragility in investment terms is optionality. So
say more.
It's never putting all your eggs in one basket, right? You're spreading out your options, and that's what a river does, right? Hits an obstacle, it splits around, goes around, comes back together again, right?
Yeah, and knowing that you are a creator, or that creation and creativity is life itself. And we are living organisms, and we are organisms that are part of living systems. So the creative force runs through all of us. So the more that you can connect with that, the more possibility and options that you have, which takes you beyond resilience and makes you anti-fragile. Yeah.
And then again, building on that, I have to build on that really, because another one of his metaphors is that a human body is actually the embodiment of something that's relatively anti-fragile, because it sheds its cells. It allows things to die and still grow and move on. And again, that ability to look at your life as a system, and you're connected with things, and you're more than just your own one little being, gives you that co-creation, that ability to move forward in a much more holistic way.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And that's why we think that we need to move away from the bouncing back resilience conversation, because it's just too limiting for what's needed and for what's true, for who we really are. It's been a good start, but I think the work and the definitions of Nassim Nicholas Taleb are really fantastic. And what we want to do throughout these conversations is to help our listeners get back to the bountiful regenerative living system that they are, and recognize all that possibility that's there within them to create, and no matter what's going on, that we can continue to regenerate at all times.
Absolutely. And if people have found this really interesting as a topic, we'd be happy to go into it further, so please let us know.
Wonderful. And we'll put the link to the book. We're available to come into organizations if you want to do some of this work about what it looks like to be a beyond resilient, anti-fragile organization. Or if you're just curious for yourself, if this conversation interests you and you start to feel that spark as well, and you think it would be useful for yourself or within your organization, get in contact.
And that brings us to the end of another episode of the World Beyond Resilience podcast.
If anything you heard today sparked an aha moment or made you think differently about resilience, please tell us about it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
And please share it with everyone you know.
For more episodes exploring how we can thrive beyond just bouncing back, follow our show on your favorite platforms.
And of course, we have additional resources and deeper dives into all the topics we discuss on our website, which is worldbeyondresilience.com.
So we absolutely love this topic, and we can see the possibility for this to create really powerful, vibrant, prosperous change in organizations and systems. So if this conversation interests you and you start to feel that spark as well, and you think it would be useful for yourself or within your organization, feel free to get in contact. So until next time, remember, there's a whole world of possibilities beyond just being resilient. Take care.